It is a great day to be alive, and I am so thankful for God, Jesus Christ, who lives in us. In today's video titled, Why October 17th and What Does It Mean? I'm going to be sharing some key details about this October 17th date to explain why October and what it means. Before we get started, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing that I'm sharing is financial advice. I'm simply sharing dreams, visions, and interpretations that I feel God has given me as it relates to crypto. Now, let's get into the video. So why October 17th and what does it mean? October 17th has been a date that I have been sharing since May 2024, since I started my YouTube channel. But it was given to me in a dream in 2023. Because of the outcome of this date, I found myself inquiring of the Lord, looking for understanding, looking for the meaning and the purpose behind this date. Moving forward to now, 2025, these are the conclusions that I feel God is leading me to explain the why and what the October 17th date means. So I have a picture of the dream and how I saw things in my dream as far as seeing this date written on all of these ball pit balls that I saw. There were only two colors, yellow and red, and each one had the date of October 17th on it. Now, getting to what I feel like I understand now about this date. October 17th represents major Israel news. October 17th is also representing of these two colors, yellow and red. When it comes down to the timeline that I've been talking about and the things that God has been giving me as far as dates and how to derive these dates, yellow and red has always been added together to represent 100. 60 for red, 40 for yellow. And those numbers were given to me in another market crash dream. So a lot, but everything seemed like it's coming together. October 17th also represents crash or collapse, not necessarily meaning a market crash, but it can be an economy or the control of a government. Again, it's not necessarily just a possible market crash date, but it's also a leading factor or an indicator leading up to some type of crash or some type of collapse. So what has led me to these key conclusions so far? Well, starting with the easiest one to see is what happened on October 17th, 2023. I had the dream, looked for October 17th back in 2023, and all I heard and saw was major news about Israel. The Israel hospital explosion, something that escalated the Israel-Hamas war at that moment in time. October 17th rolled around again in 2024. What did we see? Major news again out of Israel as it related to the confirmation of the death of Sinwar, who was the mastermind behind the Hamas attack on Israel on October 7th. Also, in two separate dreams, the first dream that I've already shared, where I saw October 17th, I also saw a market crash in that particular dream. And in another dream recently, November 29th, 2024, I saw on this date of October 17th on a chart as it relates to Bitcoin, and I saw a drop or a crash of this particular coin. So those are easy to see as it pinpoints the exact date of October 17th, news about Israel, and also these two dreams as they are representing the crash of a market or the crash of a coin. Very easy to see. But what about the rest? As I shared before, a lot of my dreams lead me to do research. And as I'm researching, I'm always coming back, not always, but a high percentage of the time, I'm coming back to dates or things that represent something that took place in 1929 in the month of October, whether a few days before the 29th of October or something to that nature, where it's putting me in the same space as the October 29th, 1929 market crash. So this was confirming the fact that God is indeed showing me something about a market crash. He's giving me this timeline. It's all connected. And then later on, I learned that through another dream that there's going to be more than one market crash. Well, on August 6th, which was a date that I derived using what God had given me, and the Japan market crash occurred August 5th/6th. And I felt that this was confirmation for me to say, okay, well, there's another market crash on the horizon. And so now I'm sticking this market crash of 1929. I'm connecting that with what I know. That is equal to a market crash, and that is equal to these colors, which is equal to the date of October 17th, connecting to a market crash or a collapse in some way. But how? So really quickly, looking at the key for October 17th, it has to do with Israel hearing major news. It has to do with yellow and red as it relates to counting 100 days when I'm looking at something as it relates to time. It has to do with a crash or a collapse of some type. And it is also a leading factor or a leading indicator to a crash or a collapse, also including a market crash. And here's an example. When we look at the market crash of 1929 and we look at the birthday of Seymour, their birthdays are all on the same exact date. I shared before, if he had been born in 1929, his birthday would have been on this market crash date. Information about this individual came out as far as his death being confirmed October 17th. October 17th is related to the colors of yellow and red. How does this connect to a market crash? Because this individual shared a birthday with the 1929 market crash event. And so you have a leading indicator, a leading factor, October 17th, the colors, his birthday, all leading back to a market crash. So after my date of August 17th passed, I began to just get a lot of supportive comments on the matter, and my attention was turned to the Julian calendar. I prayed about it, and I said, Lord, is this something that you desire for me to use, to take a look at this Julian calendar? Will this calendar bring me more understanding about this October 17th date and what it means? And as I prayed about it, I felt good in my spirit to go ahead and take a look at how it all fit in. So as we're going about this, I am deriving all these dates, and as we begin to pray about these dates, although there were some major events that came out from these dates, it still wasn't that second market crash date. So I'm like, okay, God, now what? You showed me this October 17th date, but why? And again, this was before I understood what I know now. So here is the layout of whatever is in purple, what's circled in purple, and what is traced, outlined with the purple square. Those were the dates that were derived from the Julian calendar as we applied it. And when I made videos to explain how I derived these dates, and we waited for these dates to occur. And so taking a look at it, we see the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. It started on November 27th. We also see that that rise of XRP on November 14th, where XRP took off. And we also see something that took place with Germany, the Germany crisis. I'm going to get to that next. So getting back to present time, God is still showing me that there is more to this Julian calendar beyond just deriving dates. He's using it in a way to bring confirmation about the meaning of this October 17th date. And what do I mean by this? A few days ago, I decided to just do a random search on the colors of these balls and the dates. I went to Google and I typed in and did a search for yellow October 17th, and I found nothing. And then I put in yellow October. When I put in yellow October, I found some information as it relates to a yellow ribbon. Yellow October may refer to a date of remembrance of the 2023 Israel-Hamas war hostage crisis. And so based on the key that I have for October 17th, that automatically checks off Israel. I then did the same Google search for red October 17th. And to my surprise, I found out something about the October Revolution of 1917. Right away, I recognized the flag that was used during that time was yellow and red, which checks off the next thing on the October 17th key list, the color of yellow and red. Then I saw that during this time of the October Revolution of 1917, the provisional government of Russia collapsed. And so we see here, based on my search simply for colors that was associated with the date of October 17th, by doing a random Google search, brought me to something about Israel and Hamas and the October 7th date. And it brought me to this Russian Revolution, which led me to seeing this yellow and red flag. From there, that led me to understanding or learning something about a collapse. This government had a collapse. Now, this wasn't a market crash, but it was a collapse of some type. And that's what I mean by this October 17th date. Doesn't always necessarily mean that this is a date for the time when the market would crash. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to lead me just to a date that has to do with the market crash, but something that has to do with a collapse or a crash of some type. But there is more. As I'm looking at the date at which this October Revolution took place, I'm seeing two dates, November 7th, 1917, and I'm also seeing October 25th. So why am I seeing two dates? Well, the reason is because during this time, they were using the Julian calendar. And I'm like, okay, God, that's what you were leading me to use last year. And so I'm seeing this connection again as it relates to me understanding the meaning behind this October 17th date. Not only did this bring me back to the Julian calendar, this also brought me back to the date of February 14th. A year after this Russian Revolution on February 14th, they switched over from using the Julian calendar to using the calendar we use today, the Gregorian calendar. This February 14th date stuck out to me, and it was very significant simply because the very first video I did this year, 2025, titled Rest, New Year, Greater Faith, Wealth Transfer, What Must Fall, Crash, and Die. In this video, I shared how I derived this date of February the 14th, 2025. And so now that I see that after this Russian Revolution, they switched over from one calendar type to another calendar type on February the 14th, I'm looking and I'm saying, God, is this your way of confirming this date of February the 14th? Now I want to go back to this table of dates, a few of these dates that was derived by using this Julian calendar. I want to look at November 6th or 7th, the Germany crisis. And I want to make note that these derived dates were the exact same dates that the Russian Revolution, the collapse happened during the Russian Revolution. November 6th through the 7th, again, there was a collapse. My dates of November 6th or 7th led me to the Germany crisis that happened last year in 2024. Very quickly, this Germany coalition is also known as the traffic light coalition. Right off the bat, I see the colors of red and yellow. And basically, in a nutshell, you had the red light angry with the yellow light. The red light wanted the yellow light to increase the debt ceiling, and the yellow light said, no way. For that reason, the red light fired the yellow light. So looking at the key of October, we see the colors of yellow and red. And because yellow was fired, there was a collapse of this coalition. Again, a collapse. So although this had nothing to do with Israel, we're still looking at the colors of yellow and red. And we're also looking at a collapse of some type. So what I decided to do was to apply the 100 days because the yellow and red can be used in that way. And once I applied the 100 days from November 6th, I ended up with the date of February 14th. There it is again. I'm seeing February 14th. Is this God's way of confirming this date? So here we have the October 1917 revolution connecting to this traffic light coalition simply because of the date of November 6th through the 7th. My derived date to the date that the revolution happened. And also you have a collapse of a government and a collapse of a government. Again, nothing to do with a market crash, simply a collapse. Then as I was reading some information specifically about the October 29, 1929 market crash, I saw that this article was saying that the market had been propped up for 4 to 5 days before this crash took place. So I went in and I subtracted those number of days and I came up with October 24th through the 25th. Well, if we go back to this October Revolution and we take a look at the dates as it relates to the Julian calendar, it also says 24th through 25th. And so the connection here is that we have a collapse as it relates to a government in 1917, and we have a collapse as it relates to a crash in 1929. So this is just an example of how this October 17th date, these colors, all these leading indicators could lead to a date for a market crash, or it could lead to a date for a collapse of something. Now, today's January the 15th, and news came out about the Hamas-Israel war ceasefire agreement. And it came out today that this ceasefire was agreed on. And because God has been dealing with me so much with Israel, I decided to work backwards. I decided to deduct 100 days from today's date. And when I went backwards 100 days, the date that I derived was October 7th, 2024. How did I know to go backwards 100 days? Because I know that Israel is connected to October 17th, and I know October 17th is connected to yellow and red, and that is connected to 100 days. And so just out of curiosity, I decided to go backwards 100 days. And to my surprise, the date is October 7th, 2024, which was the anniversary the anniversary of when the Hamas attack occurred on Israel. And so seeing all of this, my goal is to go back to that timeline and to apply what I know as far as this key for October 17th, apply it to those days I had those red and yellow dream, apply it to those days when news came out about Israel. And by doing so, I have already come up with a lot of dates. As you can see here, I've been writing some things down on paper and I blotted out the majority, everything pretty much except for one date. And that is January the 19th. As you can see, I put crash/question mark because I don't know. I didn't know at the time, which was January 14th, yesterday, when I was getting these dates and trying to get started on because it's a lot of work. It's going to take some time. But January 19th was a date that I derived. And once I'm done, if God permits, I will share these dates. If not, what I'll do is I'll take a picture as I go, as you see here, with the date and timestamp on it and everything, so we can kind of keep up with how things are going. But for now, I'm not sharing anything except for this one date because, again, I'm in the process of getting it all complete. So I'm going to very quickly show you how I derived this date of January 19th, and then I'm going to tell you what I found out today. So I began with October 31st. October 31st was a dream that I had about a yellow and red pie chart. And the pie chart had August 6th written at the top of it. Well, August 6th is connected to the Japan market crash. Right there, yellow and red. Also, August 6th is connected to Bernard's birthday. Bernard was someone that I had a dream about back in July. So Bernard was showed to me in this dream, and from that dream, I connected that to a market crash date. And sure enough, the Japan market crash took place. So here we have Bernard's birthday and the Japan market crash on the same day, August 6th. I said earlier, as it relates to Samoa and the market crash in 1929, you had a person's birthday on the same day that a market crash occurred. So for me, this is confirmation that I am on the right track as it relates to these keys for October 17th. Because I know the Japan market crash has already taken place, I can go ahead and I can highlight market crash, yellow and red because of the dream and the pie chart, and I can go ahead and I can highlight market crash because it's already happened. Getting to his birthday, August 6th, and this is where it gets complicated, and this is why it's going to take me so much time. When you think about August 6th, it takes me back to another dream. Why? Because August 6th is the Julian date for August the 19th. August the 19th was the day that the blue moon took place. The blue moon has two different scenarios in which a blue moon will occur. So I look at these two scenarios just as I look at two dates that are the same. August 6th is equal to August the 19th. So now as we look at the diagram for these blue eggs, that is what this is representing. The two blue represents August 6th and August 19th. And the yellow and red, we've already talked about, it represents the market crash. So we don't really have to do anything as far as numbers, correlating numbers with those colors because that's already happened. But now we're looking at the two blues. Blue represents 40 days. So there are two blue eggs. So I'm going to have a total of 80 days. 80 days from the time that I had this dream, October 31st, will give me January the 19th. Again, January 19th is a date that I derived earlier this week as I'm looking at applying these keys for October 17th. And it's also a date that I found out today that the Hamas-Israel ceasefire deal would take effect. It will start on January the 19th. Is this the only event that makes January 19th significant? Well, for me, it's big because it has to do with Israel, and God has been always dealing with me with Israel. But is this the only thing? So at this point, I'm praying about this February 14th date still. I'm also praying about this key for October as I'm going through trying to apply this, going back to my old timeline to see if there's anything significant as far as dates, which I wouldn't know until the day of. But as these things begin to happen on these dates, it'll allow me to understand more about how to apply each of these keys to what I already know. So that is all that I have for this video. I hope and pray that I have shared enough to kind of explain my thought, my thinking, and how I will move forward with pursuing more understanding and deriving dates based on these keys for October. If there's anything more that God's leading me to share, I will definitely do that. Until the next one, God bless.